Good evening, Moneylife Foundation members, well-wishers and friends. I am delighted that you have made it to the 3rd anniversary of Moneylife Foundation. The foundation may surely have touched your life in some way these past 3 years, and Sucheta has given us a complete rundown on what we stand for and what we fight for. So let's get right to the real reason why you're here, to listen to Mr. Vinod Rai, whom we heartily thank once again for agreeing to speak to us this evening on government accountability is the key to vibrant democracy. Mr. Rai has been behind all the major unsavory headlines that we have read over the past 2 years. The 2G scam, the coal block allocations, now called Coalgate, the Commonwealth Games scam, and so on and so forth. Never before has the CAG had such a powerful impact on the public assessment of the government. And it underlines only one thing. Very often we say, what can one man do? That is now really an excuse for not doing anything. Here is an example of what one man can do. And if there's anything that Mr. Rai will be remembered for, it is this. One man at the top doing the job diligently can really do wonders. And Mr. Rai has been doing his job diligently for a very long time. We are simply fortunate that he was chosen as the CAG, probably by mistake. The last time a CAG report has had any political consequence, at least in the eyes of the public, remember, was way back in 1989 when the department reported the Bofors scam, and that was only just one report. Hailing from Ghazipur of Uttar Pradesh, Mr. Rai, after getting his degree in economics from the Hindu College, Delhi, did his master's from Delhi School of Economics before getting another master's degree, this time in public administration from Harvard. He is then a 1972 batch Kerala cadre officer of the Indian Administrative Service. His first posting as a young IS officer as a sub-collector of Thrissur, Kerala, where he arrived supposedly with a steel trunk, bedroll and a tennis racket. Later he became a collector and spent 8 years in Thrissur city. Such was his impact in accelerating the pace of development there that he came to be known as the second Maharaja of Cochin. I mean, I wouldn't be able to pronounce the word properly, but apparently it's something called Sakthan Thampuran, after the Maharaja of Cochin who planned the area's development. His ability to dig deep and unearth was long established in his career, because at that time he made a discovery, not of the murky government deals, but of the priceless antique furniture which had been lying in the cellar of the Raj Bhavan, which is a former palace of the Maharaja of Travancore. Reportedly, a former governor found the teak and rosewood furniture too dark. Disappointed by such waste of fine material, Mr. Rai, when years later he was in a position to do so, managed to get Governor S.S. Kang to restore the furniture. Now, was this any different from what Mr. Rai has done with his department, which, by the way, employs nearly 50,000 people? Mr. Rai was the MD of Kerala State Cooperative Marketing Development from 1977 to 1980. Later, he was appointed the Principal Secretary Finance of the State Government of Kerala, and then went on to serve in senior positions in commerce, defense, and finance in the union government. Before his appointment as a CAG, he served as a Secretary of Financial Services and Additional Secretary Banking. He has been also a director on several boards of SBI, ICICI, IDBI, LIC, and IDFC. Mr. Rai has served the country with great dedication in every single one of his roles, but we the people feel he has had the maximum impact as a CAG. It's no wonder that the headlines, the stories on him now appear to describe him as a superhero. The CAG weighs in for a good fight, hawk on his perch, the name that creates fear, man of the moment, is just to name a few of the headlines. Cavalcade of Goliaths. His fearlessness has shaken up the government and obviously attracted detractors, those who have a lot to lose. A. Raja's lawyer, for example, attempted to belittle him by calling him just an accountant, while Digvijay Singh, when asked to comment on the now famous calculation of 1.7 lakh crore, said that he's just talking through his hat. Others, including the Prime Minister, believe the CAG is going beyond his mandate. But ladies and gentlemen, when Sharad Pawar asks, have we chosen the wrong person as the CAG? You know the answer. We only wish to ask back, wrong for whom? You all know the answer to that as well. In fact, His name has even been used to substantiate the independence of government officials by the same government. Recently, the Supreme Court questioned the independence of the heads of information panels under Right to Information Act, given that all of them were retired bureaucrats. And what did Attorney General Vahanvati immediately say? He said, we have a CAG who was a former finance secretary. Can it be said that he is loyal to the government? Well, Mr. Rai has certainly left no one in doubt where his loyalty lies to the nation. Recently, he pointed out that his department cannot don the role of cheerleaders. We strive to provide objective feedback on the functioning of various departments to the government. No, sir, this is no ordinary bureaucrat. Mr. Rai is a rare leader focused on the big issues, getting things done, and leading by example. He does not have an accountant's view of the world. He says, if I'm losing 100 rupees to 1,000 rupees, it doesn't matter compared to a loss of some 2,500 crore. Another example of his leadership is what he's done with social audits, which usually run into hundreds of pages. Mr. Rai isn't pleased with this. You won't want to read them, he says. No parliamentarian wants to read them. And after I have sent them, even I don't want to read them. So all the books have been chopped into in-house naughty books, as he calls them. These are Enid Blyton style, 10 to 20 pages long, racy, hardcovers with plenty of pictures and blurbs. Even we in the media have to learn a thing or two on communication from him. Mr. Rai's achievement looks immense when you know that there are no deadlines for government departments to reply to his questions. But this is where his leadership skills show. One of the main reasons he has succeeded is because he leads from the front and supports from the rear. He kept his officers motivated, constantly guiding them, and frequently interacting with even young probationers at the National Academy of Audit and Accounts in Shimla. I will end with a very interesting anecdote mentioned in the Forbes magazine that stands testimony to his ability as a leader capable of getting things done. In January 2006, top officials of the Finance Ministry were summoned by the then Finance Minister, Mr. P. Chidambaram. The minister was reviewing proposals for the forthcoming budget. In the previous budget speech, he had announced the setting up of India Infrastructure Finance Company, and that company had not yet been set up. Now, an irritated Chidambaram said, how long will you guys take to incorporate a company? It's almost a year. Mr. Rai, who was then heading the Department of Economic Affairs, quietly said it would be done by the weekend. After he came back to his office, Mr. Rai called a joint secretary in the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and told him this company has to be registered that evening. The official told him this was impossible, briefing him on the long process and the required documentation. Mr. Rai apparently told him, I'm told by one of your colleagues that you're a very good officer. It is the prestige of the department that's at stake. This has to be done, he told him. The official reportedly said that since Mr. Rai had challenged his competency, he had to get it done. The entire machinery, the entire government machinery, as we know, cranked into action, with the registrar of companies even getting a diesel generator to print the incorporation certificate because there was a power cut. IIFCL was incorporated in those 24 hours. And the certificate of incorporation was on Mr. Chidambaram's table along with a note from Mr. Rai the next day. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome Mr. Vinod Rai, an extraordinary public official and a national hero.